The recipes page of the Compute My Diet website is a place where you can enter recipes, enter lists of foods that you might want to use in the computation. This is probably where you'll spend a large percentage of your time. So let's create a recipe. Give it a name and clicked on Add Foods. And we'll make some scrambled eggs here. So turns out scrambled eggs are already in the database. We'll make them a little fancier than normal. In the search box, you can enter whole words, parts of words. Each item, each word or part of a word that you give it, it will try to match on. So you can narrow the list fairly quickly. The response speed of this can be fairly slow depending on how powerful your computer is. We're working on improving that. We'll have some olive oil, cook our scrambled eggs in. And let's see about some onion. And of course, we'll saute them before we scramble the eggs. And how about a little bit of green pepper? Oops, not the chili pepper. Let's see. And we got sauteed green peppers. And perhaps some mushrooms. Generally, you want to select whichever form of the food most closely matches how it's going to be prepared. So, if possible, you want to select cooked if you're making a cooked meal. Once you've created the list of foods, you need to specify quantities. Here we're making a large omelet, so we'll make it 3 large eggs. You can see we select the units. It will default to either grams or ounces depending on your preferences, but you can change it depending on the food type to different things. So here we'll have half a cup of oyster mushrooms and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. If you set the maximum and the minimum, then it won't change those amounts when it does computation. So we'll only have 3 eggs. We won't be adding other things in. But in some cases, you may want to allow it to give you more. So for instance, with the onions, we'll say, oh, let it give us more. We want at least 1/4 cup. And the green peppers, we'll give it a few ounces of that. So now we update the recipe. And our scrambled eggs are done. Now you can make a copy of a recipe, tell it to start a new recipe or delete. One thing you can do is you can combine recipes. So if we click on cheese sandwich and scrambled egg and click edit, this will give us a combined recipe that is basically a cheese and scrambled egg sandwich, if you like. Takes all of the requirements of both recipes and puts them together. We'll give it a new name. And we can save that. can look at the nutrient composition for any of your recipes in here. Nutrient composition is based on what the minimum value is that's been set for it. The minimum is what defines the recipe. Maximum is what is set only for computation. So here you can see all the nutrients in our cheese and scrambled egg sandwich. We also can create a grocery list if you want to go shopping for these things. Select multiple recipes from your list. Select grocery list. And then tell it how many of each you want. How many cheese sandwiches do you want? How many of my lunch? How many scrambled egg and cheese sandwiches? And how many just plain scrambled eggs? This is how many times each recipe is used. So this gives you a quantity, and what you end up with are two quantity values, a recipe quantity and an adjusted weight. Adjusted weight is for things which you might buy by weight that may have extra weight. For instance, if you get bananas which has a peel on it, so the weight you would buy would actually be more than the weight you would use in a recipe.